Welcome to Week 8 of the Coach Adkins Show, live from the locker room here. Coach, give us a wrap-up of senior night. You kind of this group's a little bit special to you, right? I mean, not just the seniors, but they've kind of come up with you in these last 4 years. Talk about that night and what this group means to you.
Yeah, they're definitely a special group, mean a lot. It was awesome to honor them the entire week, through practice and then especially, before they walked across the field there with their parents and then after the game with our walk. And little conversation that we had there. But absolutely, man, they're just such a great group of kids to be around, and when they started as they were freshmen and now where they're at now, just to see the growth that they've made not only athletically but then physically and just overall maturity as well. It's been awesome to see, and again, I was able to have a nice little special moment with them on the field last night or last Friday after the game that meant a lot to me, and like I said, those kids hold a special place in my heart and always will. I've been lucky to have them, kind of set the program standard, if that makes sense. I can want one thing, but ultimately it comes down to them executing it and doing it and not only buying in, but then carrying it, through, so to speak. And they've done that. And like I said, I'm going to miss them. But like I told them Friday night, we're not even close to being done yet. So.
Yeah, good. So you've probably heard this. We're 7-0. We've got the final Apollo game of the year. Traveling to Mattoon. Of course, they're 1-6 on the year. Talk a little bit about that matchup, and talk also a little bit about, do you prepare the kids to not overlook a team that's 1-6 when you're kind of rounding out the year?
Yeah, absolutely. We're back on the road again for the first time in, the last 4 weeks. So that's definitely going to be something to kind of get back into the routine of. We've talked all week about that. And then as far as Mattoon specifically, they got 20 plus seniors on their team and they work hard. They got good sized kids up front. I mean, they got some good athletes on the edge. They're going to come to play a 4-quarter ball game. And I know I said this when we played Charleston and how I felt that, they were the best 1-4 team at the time. I feel like Mattoon's the best 1-6 team at this time, in the state, and out of their 7 games, 5 of those games, they've either had the lead at halftime or been within 1 score of the game at halftime in 5 of those 7. So again, they're going to give us a challenge. They're back at home, right? So that's got to be exciting for them. And like I said, their fans and their seniors. So we're going to have some challenges, ahead of us. Team Massive does a great job. Their student section, so we're going to have some adversity to face. And I'm excited. I'm excited for our kids to be back in that element, to be back on the road, and again, another opportunity for us to keep trying to improve and get better and prepare us for what happens down the road. So
awesome. So during the season, do you take time to think about or reflect on the conference championship, the potential of conference championship, or do you kind of compartmentalize that and just put it in a box and think about it postseason?
That's a tough question, because it's a little bit of both. The kids know, and I tell them all the time, we'll get that banquet, where we're going to get to highlight some things and celebrate all the good that we've done this year. But at the same time, I also, like this week, I want them to know what they're not only up against, but what they're about ready to accomplish, and maybe that adds a little extra motivation. We got a chance to win the conference this Friday and go undefeated in the conference for the 2nd year in a row. That hasn't happened since 1961. And here we are talking about a team from 1961. And I've talked to them all week about, leaving your mark in history. And we got a chance to do that. This morning out there on the field, I mentioned specifically to the kids, I'm like, as you were growing up and all the great Mahomet-Seymour football teams that you got to witness play the game, none of them have done what you're about ready to do or have the chance to do on this Friday at Matt Toon. And again, that's something special. That's something that nobody can ever take away from you. So I do bring that up to them. I use it as a motivational factor. And I hope we get that done, because again, what a huge accomplishment that would be this Friday if we can secure that victory at Matt Toon. Not only get a hoist the all-conference championship plaque, but then to know that essentially we've made history and gone back-to-back undefeated conference champions that hasn't been done since 1961. That's something pretty special.
Well, you've probably watched a couple of the games in replay on Bulldog TV, and you know that we talk about 1% of football and everything else is just a pile of manure. This is one of those questions. So if you could take 3 people to dinner, living or dead, who would it be and why? And what would you have?
Well, my wife would tell you that I would have a buffalo chicken sandwich because she thinks that that's all I ever eat. But I don't know. A nice steak dinner, that'd be kind of cool, right? I hope I'm not paying for it, first off, because
depends on who you take.
True. I don't know that I could afford a steak dinner, but that'd be awesome. Sit down and have a steak dinner. If I had to choose 3, that's tough. I would probably start with Vince Lombardi. Again, I've been a Packers fan my whole life. The NFL trophy is named after him. The history of football and the Green Bay Packers specifically. I've watched some old clips, of back in the day, the black and white reels of him giving speeches and just motivating his teams and his energy on the sideline. So I think it would be awesome to get to sit down and have some conversations with him, because I feel like I'm kind of that energetic guy as well. Along those same lines, I think number 2 for me would be Kobe Bryant. And again, wrong, right, or indifferent, what everybody thinks about him, I would want to have a conversation with him from a standpoint of his work ethic. Everybody talks about the Mamba mentality, and I've even gotten a chance to listen to some of his speeches that he's given to high schools, motivational messages that he's been able to spread out, throughout the country while he was still living. And again, just some of the things that he says and the way he approaches, day-to-day operations. And again, with his mentality and mindset that he has, he's never going to be outworked. And again, just how he motivated his teammates, et cetera. I think I could learn a few things from him. And it kind of makes me, again, kind of go back to who I am as a person. You got the energy of Vince, and then certainly the motivational factors of Kobe Bryant. I think those are 2 guys that I could definitely learn from, and would just love the opportunity to sit down and conversate with them. A third one for me personally would probably have to be my grandma. I used to love when I was a kid, we'd sit on her couch and she would just tell me stories, and I would just sit there and listen, and she'd tell me about how things were back in the day and the family growing up and her farm when she was a kid. And I felt like every time I got the chance to sit down and have a conversation with her, I was always learning, not only about, history of everything, but then of our family as well. So I miss her, and I would love the chance to one more time, sit down and see her again and have a conversation with her. And I know it's tough to limit it to 3, but those would probably be my 3. So.
Well, noticeably absent from that list was Dan and I, so there goes your steak dinner. That's a wrap for Week 8, Coach Adkins Show. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Bulldog fans, make sure you turn into... Hey, Bulldog fans, just as a reminder tonight, Bulldog... Gosh, dog.
And Bulldog fans, be sure tonight to tune in on YouTube to 131 Sports Live ! Where Dan and Mike Orton will be broadcasting the game with RZ behind the camera. You're not going to want to miss this.
Stay tuned.